Slam poetry.
He doesn't care if it's perfect.
It's time to slam now.
It's the biggest poem I've got inside of me.
She was a thief. You gotta
love me, to love a haunted house.
Yelling, angry.
Blood black nothingness began to spin.
Specific point of view on
To
things.
this day, I hate pork chops. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul.
100 years from now, all new people. Welcome to I Think Therefore I Slam, the podcast bringing you the best spoken word and slam poetry artists from Australia and beyond. What a treat we have today. My guest today is a Zimbabwean-born and Frankston-raised, hell yeah, creative with 15 years in the arts. She's a multi-award-winning actor, theatre director and spoken word poet and advocates for cultural diversity through roles as a former peer assessor for Creative Australia and co-CEO of Western Edge. She also founded Africa's Got Talent Australia and co-founded the Still Waters African Women's Storytelling Collective. After a 2-year global break, sounds amazing, she co-directed Maxine Beneba Clarke's The Hate Race at Malthouse Theatre in 2024 and served as Associate Director for the Audition. Returning to the stage after 5 years, she performed in Belle Epoque and Kilda Tales. Her accolades include an APRA AMCOS award and an ARIA award nomination for Closed Beginnings and a John Trustcott Foundation grant. Recently featured at the NGV Afro-Centric Experience and Bankstown Poetry Slam. We know what that is. My guest is excited to now return to Western Edge as Artistic Director, focusing on young people in Melbourne's West. Tariro Mavondo, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Andrew. I'm very excited.
You're in good company because you're now the second Zimbabwean-born artist I've had on this show after the amazing Tabani Schumer. And I just want to dive into the whole Frankston-raised side of things because
yes.
I'm a Peninsula rat, former Peninsula kid myself.
Mm-hmm. What?
Do you have fond memories? What are your feelings about our little city by the bay?
Look, I feel like it is the place that is the most familiar to me, the place that I know, the place that formed me and shaped who I am. My time in Frankston is complicated because on one hand, I've got some of the best experiences growing up. There's so much nature around that area. And so, and there's obviously the beach. So from that perspective, and this is before, the digital world really took off in a serious way. So we were outside a lot and with all the other kids around the block and we would just be exploring and adventuring and it was beautiful. But I think from another perspective, there was not a lot of diversity in Frankston growing up in the 90s. So I had a tough time also, with racism. And I guess we rarely talk about class, but I think the way Frankston is divided up, there is class. And so I found a lot of the racism was actually from the kids who were coming from lower socioeconomic backgrounds, which makes sense to me. If you feel like a victim, it makes sense to also be a perpetrator to gain power. So yeah, that's
a really good point. But I like what you say about the outside of it all as well. We're talking Ballon Park. We're talking
oh my gosh,
Oliver's Hill. Yeah, there we go. I feel like there are my blood, sweat and tears on the streets of Frankston. One of my first jobs was at the Civic Video on Tower Hill. There actually is some of my blood on the street because I got my wisdom teeth out and then the last of my stitches dissolved as I was walking down to Pally-Bar to a gig and started kind of leaking from the mouth. So, went into a kebab shop, got some serviettes and just kind of plugged that up straight away.
We've got something in common then because there's also my blood on those streets too.
Oh no.
Because as a dare with my sisters, we were like, let's cross the train tracks as a train is coming. We didn't realize there was a barbed wire. So we were running, and then I tripped on the barbed wire and cracked my tooth and cracked the side of my mouth, which is a permanent scar.
Oh no.
But I was okay.
Tetanus shot, all good.
Yeah, we made it. We made it out alive.
There you go. That sounds wild. This is what happens when you grow up in the peninsula. It's a beautiful place and a place that I still like to visit. So it's not so much familiarity breeds contempt. It's familiarity breeds Good times. I don't know, something else. Anyway, we've looked through the looking glass long enough. Tariro, we'd love to hear your first spoken word piece that you've prepared today.
So this piece is called Seventh Wonder. And I'm kind of pairing it with like a minute little interlude, which I wrote recently, which feels like a really nice sister piece to it. Yeah. This leather-strapped sandal, stretched and scratched, is a kind of body that keeps going, that keeps going, that keeps going. Each mile it walks you home to yourself at threshold of the many versions of you burnt at the holiest of stakes. Marinate in the new ones you birth, that name you a resurrection in triplets. Baptismal knowing is a kind of upholstery that figure hugs. Hold on to this. You are a stone's throw away from revelation. See, your ancestors finger-painted your silhouette in their daydreams, so be the autograph of freedom. You were never foliage to be foraged, but an untamed forest that simply forgot its shimmers, so glimmer and glitter, phosphorus and fluorescent, moonchild. You are forgiven. You are forgiven and pardoned, forgetting yourself many times over, so mute those many, many voices that were never yours but now try to own you. You are analog, an altar, altering the altercations of alternative arrivals. You are an arrival. Cranial and sacral on this revolving carnival, a kind of Buddha, wearing bell-bottom corduroys with a frangipani tucked behind ear at your own Woodstock. So be at your own Woodstock. Chapters close, new ones are waiting to be written. You are a Genesis in ribs twirl, Black Madonna, the night sky kneels, every night to your awakening. A million silk ribbons in heels, bloom. So bloom. You are the world's affirmation and you are healing. The seventh wonder of the world is me. You see, I have risen. I am Kafka's metamorphosis and Icarus turned phoenix. I am rising out of a great depression. Not even the Dead Sea inside of me could drown the Almighty in me. The seventh wonder of the world is me. I have risen, a guardian of the stars. There was an inscription for me, tattooed on the face of the moon, and it said, one must traverse the land, debating with Satan whether God had a one-night stand with the world to truly know Jesus. I have buried more selves inside of me than I can count, an obituary and a morgue. I know the taste of death and I have beaten death. I know that I have won because I'm here with you now. The seventh wonder of the world is me. You see this hurricane inside of me that can tear down rainbows and crush sunsets and destroy nations, has learnt to build boundaries bigger than the Great Wall of China. I've had to cut off everyone I call friend. So don't Oprah Winfrey Super Soul Sunday me. This healing is messy. I massaged the entirety of my mother's body. Have you ever visited another's Grand Canyon? My mother was craters and boulders of tension. She is the perfect parable of what happens when anger has not been released. It turns into sadness that has nowhere to go. Nailed to the cross of the great divide between life and death, I now know that I still have somewhere to go. The seventh wonder of the world is you. Are you not the one who showed me fins are just the legs of the sea? I saw you push yourself against the current to reach the surface. I saw you in your coral reef of grief, wave after wave after wave. I saw you in your unbleaching. I saw you not choke on your own mucus. Saw through you that there is something inside all of us that is not meant to break. The seventh wonder of the world is you. Are you not the one I saw catching flying bullets that changed the temperature of the air? I believed in you when I couldn't believe in myself. I believed in you when you, Alice in Wonderlanded on your 2 feet and bathed the chafing calluses of those who could not walk. I saw you walking on water. Did you not cure yourself of your own leprosy? Have you not been someone else's miracle? Are we not second comings, resurrected again and again and again to be whole poems for one another? Are we not more sonnets than haikus? If I called you God, would the divinity in you answer? The seventh wonder of the world is us, each of us here on this earth at this time to beat our Goliaths. And I know you're winning because you're here with me now, and we are gold. We are gold being rinsed at the rivers of our ancestors. We are a chorus of joy. We are gold being rinsed at the rivers of our ancestors. We are a chorus of joy.
Wow. Stunning. Loved it. Would love to hear it again. Would love to hear it again. Be at your own Woodstock was one of the first lines that jumped out to me. Man, that was beautiful. Can you tell me a bit more about this piece? Like what's how long did it take to write firstly? Was that like a real like labor of love, or was it an instant kind of, there it is on the page?
I would say I had to live life to write that piece.
Sure.
Yeah. So it's a piece I wrote, like Seventh Wonder of the World is a piece I wrote when I was in the Caribbean a couple of years ago when I left Australia in 2021 and travelled for 2 years.
You were kind of centred in Barbados for a while, yeah?
Yeah, that's right. And it was really a piece where I feel like I had just been working. And it was the first time where I just really paused and stopped. And that was the first time in a long time where I had to kind of like reckon with my own inner demons. That piece came really quickly, but I feel like I had to live it.
Yep.
And then that kind of sister piece, Be at Your Own Woodstock, it feels like it's almost like the next iteration of that, like who am I now? And I feel like, yeah, just being kind of like the designer of my own life, that's what it is, and encouraging others to kind of design their own life in the way they know how. Hence the Be at Your Own Woodstock, like make life fun and make life an adventure and make life what you want to make it to be, and free, as much as we can.
Do you think there'll ever be another Woodstock? As someone who's been watching clips from Woodstock 99, it's hard to run a music festival nowadays. They're closing left, right and centre.
In these times, I don't see it. And I feel like Woodstock was such a iconic festival for those times.
Yeah.
I feel like there's really kind of never been another Woodstock.
Yeah, 99 was more of like a commercial rehash, I suppose,
Yeah. Is that the one where it was a disaster? They over-ticketed?
I'm not sure. I don't know a lot about the story. I've just been watching funny clips of like Limp Bizkit play just out of irony, I mean, comparing the lineups between original and 99 is its own, meme. So, yeah, I don't know. Over-ticketed, you reckon?
I heard that, yeah, maybe. Is that the last one?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of a disaster.
Oh, damn.
Which is maybe why they didn't do it again.
Yeah, it's never been resurrected. Excellent. What about the wider story of like how you started to create and share your work? What can you tell us about that?
Well, it was kind of simple. I was studying at the time at the VCA, and back then it was called the Bachelor of Dramatic Arts rather than Bachelor of Fine Art. My head was just full of so many like other people's words, because it was such an intensive program for 3 years. And so I was just like, I just want to hear my voice. And so I just started writing poetry out of a necessity. And then I called the only person that I knew who called himself a poet. And I was like, is there anywhere? Because I guess I come from a performer background first and then writing second. And so I was like, is there anywhere I can perform these words? And then he was like, yeah, the Australian Poetry Slam. And that's where I met Luca Lesson and a whole bunch of amazing spoken word artists. And then, I haven't really not left since then.
Excellent. I was thinking back to what you said about the piece as well, in terms of that took your whole lifetime to write. It reminded me of, a great craftsperson, let's say someone who works with wood, and they're able to, they're able to create a wooden toy in 30 minutes, let's say. And people might go, oh, that only took you 30 minutes to make, when in reality they kind of clap back and go, no, that took me my whole life to make. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I think good poetry is kind of like that sometimes.
Yeah, agreed.
Who was the first person? I mean, you mentioned you'd gone to your friend who was considered a poet at the time. Like, who was the first person you really saw like in their element as a slam poet, would you say?
I would say it was a collection of people. It was like Joel McKerrow, it was like Luca Lesson, Michelle Dabrowski, Scott Snedden, Maxine Beneba Clarke.
I just love a good name drop. So I'm just trying to like draw them out. And like for me, first name you mentioned was Joel McKerrow. He was my first that I saw kind of in his element doing that. And that really stuck with me years before I even tried it myself. That's the kind of impression that it left on me. And Joel has been on the show and was a fantastic guest. So Hope you're doing well, Joel.
Yeah, shout out, Joel.
Yeah. He doesn't have the dreads anymore, right?
Yes,
that's long
I
gone.
did see that. And he's writing children's books,
He
like
is.
teenage.
Yep. He's a professional. He's a professional speaker. He had such great advice and wisdom about like expanding beyond whatever, I guess, category you might put yourself in. As an artist, you might go, "Oh, I'm just a slam poet." But he goes, "No, there's so many, transferable skills in that you take everywhere." And you're a fantastic example of this. When I was researching you a little bit in the lead up to today, I kind of saw a bit of everything. I saw some stage stuff, some screen stuff, some modeling, some spoken word. Such a diverse range of experiences that you have in various art forms, so much so that, we couldn't fit it in your whole bio that I read out today. What are your kind of favourite projects that you've been involved with lately? Like if you had to do a top 3 that you were putting on your creative CV, what do you think would take out the podium?
I would say top 3 would be at the NGV in 2024. Candy Bowers curated it, who's an amazing, also I'd say multidisciplinary artist, and also somebody that I definitely looked up to growing up because I saw myself in her, and she was sort of like 10 years my senior. And so, she curated just a brilliant 10-day takeover at the NGV in the foyer there and invited spoken word artists. There was like a house, African house band. There was contemporary dancers, and it was sort of intergenerational as well. And so, it was amazing to be in a really kind of like iconic and I would say colonial space and just really completely take over. And just have people coming to watch, and it was almost like they were coming to the cookout. They had to be invited in. And what was really beautiful, the format was 3 parts. So Act 1 was joy, Act 2 was pain, and then Act 3 was, I think it was power or future or something like that. The way everybody just like backed each other, celebrated each other, and grieved together just reminded me of how there's not many spaces where we can collectively just let all of the emotions out like that and be held in it. And I just found that for me, sometimes as a African artist, it can feel really isolating, but to be in a space where there's like 50 of us or 30 of us was just like powerful. It was like, I'm not alone. Like we're actually in this industry together. And I think for me, for that reason, that still sticks with me as a highlight. One of my other favorite gigs, this is hard because there's so many, but I would also say Nature Obituary, which was a collaboration with the Sustainable Living Foundation, who are an organisation who promote and educate around environmental sustainability. And then also with Janine Willis, whose concept it is, Nature Obituary, and with the Botanical Gardens. And that was basically like a very site-specific work. And so there was desks along the lake with some very old school, with some paper and writing. And there was an offering to just like write an ode to nature as you're looking at nature. And so the helpers would put them in baskets. I was one of those, so there's 3 readers, and I was one of those readers, and would be reading each obituary or each ode or each call to action. And then as people are hearing their words kind of come to life in real time, was beautiful. And then part 2 of that was First Nations writers were commissioned to write pieces prior to that. And it just felt really, again, about collectivity and about like, I don't think one group of people can have the answers, but together we can problem solve. When we sit in a space of quiet and stillness and remember our own nature and that we're actually, all in it together really. So that was number 2.
Bronze medal. Let's go.
I would actually have to say that it was like this sort of underground experimental space in Preston called Belle. Well, that's what I call it, but it reminded me of back in the day when there was lots of that at warehouses, and we were just like experimenting and making art just for art's sake. It's called Belle City, and it was run by Rosie Shoot, who's a poet. And what I really loved was the interdisciplinary nature of it. There was like poets and musicians, and we were jamming. So we didn't know what was going to happen. There was a violinist, there was a keyboardist, there was someone kind of on sound effects and keys and a drummer and a contemporary dancer at the same time. And we were kind of just like making this world up in real time, like improv. And some of the poets there and some of the writers who read, it was just so dense and deep and such, I want to say layered work that I don't often see. An analysis of, I guess, white positionality in a real tangible way, not in a shame or guilt way, but it was sort of like, I think people were just really unpacking what it means for them in these times and their connection to nature and, yeah, the industrialization and taking over nature and that being also a war within themselves and just the kind of layered dialogue that I think for me that allowed to happen, just made it, I feel like it was, and then also there was a mutual aid aspect to it. So everybody, no one got paid. And so all of the money went towards mutual aid. And I think all those combinations just made it like a very like wholesome and also a space for experimentation without feeling like the pressure of that you have to succeed. Like you could just experiment
like
and play.
Something's on the line here or whatever.
Just you're playing and you're expressing yourself and you're challenging and expanding yourself as an artist, and that was awesome. There are so many that I could pick, but they're the three ones that came to mind.
Well, I could see how it was a bit painful for you to cut it down to three. So I thought it would be the challenge, and you're up for it. No, that's fantastic. What I'm hearing in the commonalities between those three that you've just outlined is a real emphasis on, I don't know, breaking down arbitrary barriers, and I think art can do that. Great art can do that. Bad art can do that sometimes, if there is such a thing as bad art. And whether that be class, race, ideology, whatever, there's something about everyone listening to the same story, if you like, at the same time, which is so rare as we continue to kind of get divided into different kind of algorithmic pools, if you like. I think it's extremely important. Has that been, your experience of art in general?
Yeah, and I think over the last few years there's been an urgency and a need for more spaces of storytelling and more spaces for grassroots
for sure.
and hyper-local community making and finding safe havens to express. And I see there's more poetry events popping up, and doesn't surprise me. Like I think the more the globe becomes conservative and chaotic and turbulent, I am not surprised that the counter to that or the response to that, I don't even feel like it's a reaction, I feel like it's a response, is which is much more, I think, intentional, is to then create spaces where people can be themselves when we feel like our powers are being eroded or taken away from us. I feel like there's some kind of like sinking our feet into the ground and going, no, collectively we actually have a lot of power. And I think you're right, like art is able to acknowledge the lines of division that have been carved out for us, and for us to kind of, in its trickiness and mess, but with intent, with all of it, righteous rage, with joy, with laughter, like untangling it. And I think that is the process of, for me, impactful art.
Yeah, so well said. I Think Therefore I Slam is brought to you by the Slam fam on Patreon. Yes, these are the generous, beautiful, creative souls who help keep the lights on here at Podcast HQ. And for less than the price of a coffee a month, they get access to all types of exclusive goodies, including bonus episodes, previews of upcoming content, new poems and musings from me, and much more. To become a member, you can head on over to patreon.com/ITTIS or click the link in the description. Now back to the conversation. I now want to zoom in on your collaboration with the Australian Art Orchestra. Now, this led to not only an ARIA nomination for yourselves for Best Jazz Release, but also recognition from APRA AMCOS. When I think of jazz, I think of improvisation, and I think about like timing and space and silence even. What did you learn from that experience of being in the room with those craftspeople?
I firstly want to say they're just masters of their craft.
Yeah.
So it's just amazing to be in that space and watching them just work.
Yeah.
I think they're both classically trained, if I'm not mistaken. That's Ruben Lewis and Peter Knight. And they've chosen to go the experimental jazz route. I think what actually connects us together is exactly what you said: time, space, stillness. I think for me, I'm not necessarily an improviser in terms of coming up with words on the spot, but I can kind of tune into the space and go, I think this piece will work here, and then allow myself to chop it up in real time and just like be editing on the floor and then repeating some things, like having fun with it basically. So what I've learned from working with them, maybe it's not a learning, maybe it's like an affirmation that this is a space that I really thrive in and that I love working in, because I think when we don't know, when there isn't a full stop and there's a comma, which is what an intellectual, amazing man called Bayo Akomolafe, that's kind of his terminology. When there isn't a full stop and a comma, then we're in the process of creating something new that hasn't happened. And I love being in that space. And actually, we're going to release our second album soon.
Oh,
yeah. So we've recorded it. So it's in the editing process at the moment. So I'm very excited.
How exciting! Watch out, ARIA Awards again. I know, unfortunately, you didn't get to attend the 2021 one, but maybe there'll be another chance. Let's go. And how did that come about? Like, did you approach them? Did they approach you?
Talk about a full circle moment. So when I said the only poet that I knew,
yes,
called himself a poet.
Yes.
He ended up running so that's Sai J. He ended up running a record label and representing Hiatus Coyote.
Yeah.
Amongst other amazing artists, musicians. And so he was creating musically, I'm not that technical, but he was creating a vinyl of kind of new jazz. And for some reason, I bumped into him at a cafe and he was like, I've been thinking about contacting you. And then he's like, I want to partner you up with this band called I Hold the Lion's Paw because I think you two would actually blend and I can see this happen, this working. And so Ruben is like the front man of I Hold the Lion's Paw. And so that's how we started collaborating through this like track, which is called Bones. And I listened to their music and I was like, this is wild. This is like noise, this is sound, this is experimental. And sometimes there's a rhythm and sometimes it's arrhythmic. I can really vibe to this. And we recorded Bones once.
Yeah.
I think we literally met, I met the band at the studio, hi, and then we started. So the collaboration kind of like the relationship started with us making. And I feel like that's always been the nature now of Peter and Ruben and I's work. Is just like we find ourselves in the work and we start at a very singular point and then build from that.
Yeah.
Which is how we sort of created the second album, the first album. And the second album as well was, just through improv.
So what I'm hearing is that, if you're an artist out there, get to more coffee shops, get to more third spaces, lift your eyes, see what old friends are around. You never know what's gonna come of it.
Yeah.
Multidisciplinary artistry is not really my jam, but it's certainly yours. Mm-hmm. Sustaining that kind of output must require, a lot of self-care and a lot of rituals, I imagine. Mm-hmm. I'm interested in your thoughts about kind of what practices you have that protect your creativity and prevent burnout. And are there any habits that you'd recommend to anyone who's emerging as a multidisciplinary artist? What are your thoughts?
I think there is not one formula or one way. And I'm still learning how to take care of myself and prioritize my well-being, because I think it's hard as an artist to really kind of, to make it work, I think, in a system that doesn't necessarily support, I think, the arts in the way that it could, where it's output, you give so much, but it doesn't give back in the same way. And specifically now, I think, in the funding landscape where there is less funding for the arts, less grants available for projects, for individual projects, I feel like finding your crew, finding your people that you love working with and making with, outside of institution, outside of anything other than this gives me life. Or if it's not making, it could be like a book club or whatever it is for you that is nourishing. I think that gives me life. Like, and also saying no, which is really, really difficult, but claiming your no, because you're saying yes to yourself every time you say no. And I'm saying this as much to myself as I'm saying it to anyone listening, is your mental well-being is so important and your physical well-being is so important. And so sleeping properly, eating properly, going out in nature, spending time with yourself, because I feel like that's my personality type as an introvert anyway, is like I need actually, in order for me to recharge, I need to quite an ample amount of time to get away from the world and just be in my own like space.
For sure.
So in a way, it's like get to know who you are and what your needs are really well, like a lover, like you would a lover, like treat yourself in the same way so that you can give yourself, what you need, because it is not easy being an artist out there.
Yeah. Was your time living overseas part of just mixing it up and looking after yourself in a way?
100%.
Yeah.
I feel like I was so proud that I took time out and that was just me time. And initially my pursuit was, who is Tariro outside of an artist, outside of being a sister, outside of all the identities that I started to, I would say, over-identify with, and just, I was like, clean slate. Why don't I just like work on a farm for a couple of months in Hawaii and just work with my hands and see what happens? Why don't I just be instead of do? Why don't I be?
Yeah.
And that was just priceless.
I'm always interested of like the amount of stories I've heard of, I don't know, let's take CEOs as an example, just for now. You know, if you were to pitch a similar question to them about like, how do you do self-care or look after yourself when you're in this kind of high pressure cooker leadership role, so much of it will involve like the exact opposite of what they do day to day. So if they're in the CEO chair using their mind, you know, they need to do something that engages their body, whether that's, you know, hiking or rowing or whatever the case may be. I think all output requires just as much, if not more input, you know, and I think we get really good at thinking, oh, look at this output I've had when we've really been running on adrenaline and we think we can keep it up for forever, when it's like, no, you actually need to change things up. And sometimes it is as big as absolutely changing where you're living or whatever you need to do.
Yeah, I feel like that was one of the best things that I've ever done for myself. And I think beautiful poetry came out of it, and and it was just in those incidental moments, like meeting random strangers and just living life that where I was able to draw inspiration from. Like I feel like new environments, like infinite wells of inspiration. So not being afraid. I think I was always afraid, like if I left, I didn't think I could or something. I was like, I felt like, I don't know, like a responsibility. Maybe it's like survivor's guilt or something. I don't know, a responsibility to always be in service. And when I stopped, I was like, oh no, the world keeps going and other people take the position and life happens and I'm actually not that important. I mean, I am, but I'm not as well. I'm not that important. And that felt great. not being important.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, I can see that on your face kind of thing. Yeah, I think we all get attached. We all get tethered to certain things. And I mean, every behavior meets a need, even if the need is like, oh, I like what is familiar, even though it's not working for me in other areas, I suppose. So great to hear that you changed things up and it really worked for you. I think we're ready for piece number 2.
This is my newest piece.
Oh, wow.
So
World premiere?
It's fresh. It's not. I did premiere it at the closing night of the Footscray West Writers Festival.
Lovely.
I don't even know if I've given it a title yet. The devil is a multilingual mogul. The devil speaks all 5 love languages. Is scratched up denim. Is pot belly made soft by craft beer. Is greased wife beater. Just repurposed a syllable. Violence turned into Louis V fashion floating in the corner of a cubicle. Is the architecture of his tongue that resurrects her fantasies just to taste the forbidden fruit inside her cherry lace panties. Ooh, are you drooling? Is Dionysus dizzy drunk on soaked grapes? Is Aphrodite all cute cuticle sipping on an aphrodisiac spritz? Who we fooling? She's wanting this. She's wanting his mouth to pull on her ears. We are all a striptease. Is I want to be Orpheus, but if I look back at my people, then I'm hypercritical, cancelled by the culture for years, labelled a criminal. The devil is a man's best friend, smooth criminal, silent criminal, is a man-made animal. The devil's peak isn't in the underworld like they said it was. It's in the avalanche of doom scrolling. It's incels trolling. It's in red pill all-male podcast rooms. Pick me sprinkled in just for the David Copperfield illusion of illusions equality. Hell is in the boardroom. It's in the bedroom. It's in the courtroom. It's in the funeral room. All fuck rooms where we either go to fuck or you go and get fucked up. Hell is in the height of the cost of living crisis and prices keep going up and up and up. It's in toxic femininity dressed up as feminism. It's in the we're all judge, jury and Judy. Everyone's got a goddamn opinion about something, so it's spun into truth. It's in the world a Punch and Judy puppet show. It's in the torrential downpour of FOMO, and it's all in the open, and it's all in the open, and it's all in the open, and we are the stones the builders never rejected, and we're rolling, and we're rolling, and we're rolling, and we're rolling. Ketamine Saturday at the after party of late-stage capitalism, and we're rolling, and we're rolling, and we're rolling. Cogs in this wheel, and we're rolling. Controlled by the hands of isms and melodies, we're trapped in melodies, freedom hymns too hidden to hear in the spokes of complicity. And it's a trap. There's so much blood on these hands I can't wash off an accomplice. If Lady Macbeth is a system, then I'm the knife and I'm triggered and I'm mad that you're mad and that we're all mad that we can't get out of this capitalist butthole. And it's a curse and I want to get out of it and all the things it makes me do, but I can't even if I wanted to until I'm in a hearse. Yet still, even if that's it, while I'm alive, I will rumble in this concrete jungle and I will rise, even if I'm a stumbling protest of rubble on capitalism's stubble still, I will rise. I will rehearse the rise like Mama Maya prophesied. That is my power. I will rise. I will rise.
Wow. Again, we're 2 from 2 and just absolutely love the piece. I always find it's interesting, when, I mean, I want to be respectful about whatever people believe, but when someone communicates that they think that like hell is some place that's out there and involves other people, I go, what, you don't think that there are systems happening here that are like hell or hellish in nature? And so, I don't know, I thought you articulated that perfectly.
Thank you.
Yeah. How did that go down at the Writers' Festival?
I think it went down really well. I think people were feeling it. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic.
There was laughs on the devil knows all 5 love languages, which I thought was can trick us.
What have we got? We got gift giving, we got physical touch, we got all the ones. I found myself in a conversation with a mate about love languages or something, and he'd never heard of them. So it was a really interesting conversation where I was like, oh, well, they're like this. And he's like married. So I was like, you never talked to your wife about this or anything like that? So it's a really, really, interesting conversation. As writers, I guess we have a lot of interest in words, obviously, but like the meaning of words and the meaning of names. Now, my name's Andrew, which I believe is like Greek origin. It means manly and strong. And let's just say I'm still working on living up to my name kind of thing. I'm getting there.
Mm-hmm. Well, what is your definition of manly and strength?
Yeah, that's a great question. Strength is quieter than we think, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of manly, that's the $1 million question in today's world. Thanks, Louis Theroux, for bringing all that to light.
But I mean, I feel like good, kind men are being very harsh on themselves in terms of, my definition of man is someone who has been able to control certain urges, has been able to found discipline within themselves, is able to be vulnerable. I think that's the initiation from boy to man, is when you can start to not be controlled by things, but to control things, like control emotions, like doing that level of work. For me, it's not about, this hyper masculinity.
It's not about exerting control over others necessarily. It's a self thing.
Yes, self-control.
And I think maybe we've ended up with a lot of people in charge or in control of sometimes large groups of people when maybe their inner world does not have that self-control attached to it. Maybe that's what we're getting at. Yeah. So we're getting there. Hey, quick pep talk. If you're enjoying the episode, I'd love it if you could leave a rating, review, comment, or like wherever you're listening right now. You know how this works. Every little bit of digital interaction helps people to find the show and keeps the poetry flowing. And if you want to do something extra special, please share the episode with someone who you think will vibe with it. That also helps with all of the above. Thanks so much for listening. And now back to our guest. But your name, right? Tariro, literally means hope.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, do you feel like a responsibility to live up to that name in yourself and in your art? Or do you feel like subverting that every now and then? I mean, I think you've done a great job at, especially in your last piece, at illuminating some things that are kind of parallel to hope, I suppose. Yeah. What do you think?
There was one time I tested it out where I tried to kind of draw a line between Tariro and Hope and use Hope as my artist name. And that just felt so wrong. It didn't, it didn't quite feel right. So I stopped doing that. I don't really think about it. I think I'm intrinsically that, so hopeful.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I have to overly try to be hope or like live to it or embody it. I feel like it just is.
I wonder, some people, they get in a position where they change their name, they choose a name for themselves, That's not something I'm particularly drawn to at this moment. Like, I was given my name, you were given your name, and I guess we kind of just run with it. But yeah, I don't think about the definition of my name every day, and it sounds like you don't either. You're just doing what you're doing.
Yeah. I really resonate with Tariro as my name. Like, I love the sound of it.
Yeah.
But for some reason I don't make the connection that it means hope necessarily. I'm just like, that's my name. And I think because, it's almost like who I become or in the process of becoming, I'm always a different version of me. Tariro always holds whoever it is that I am in this moment, and that feels right. Yeah.
And you gave it a go. Like you said, you were like,
I did.
Let's try that as a stage name.
Yeah.
Nah, throw that away.
Nope.
Yeah, that's right. It's good to try. Now, my next question, I've got to change it up actually, because I was going to ask you about your previous time at Western Edge Youth Arts, because I'd read your kind of going away post that's still on their website and was very moved by it. But, in the lead up to today, you've told me that you're now back in the saddle, so to speak, with Western Edge. So what's that like? How does that feel, going back to a place that obviously meant so much to you, back in the day?
Yeah, I feel like the culture of Western Edge, and so for any listeners who don't know what Western Edge is and what we do, So Western Edge is a performing arts company out in the West, and we work with artists and community members to create original works in schools or in community centres. And we partner with professionals, designers from the industry to create a production of original work. And so in the community program, there's 20 weeks where people will meet. The theme this year is Illuminate, and as a stimulus point, like a starting point. And then, over the 20 weeks, start to create the work. And similarly in schools. And we also have, like little offerings also throughout the year for anyone, who's interested in being an actor or a professional artist. We also offer skills development and kind of the business side of things. Opportunities to learn about that as well.
Yeah. And what do you think, because you're getting a second time round at it all. So how do you think you'll approach it differently than what you did first time around?
It is so interesting coming back because it's that thing where it feels like known, but it also has grown. And I've grown.
Yeah.
So there's been a humbleness there where I've just kind of been like, oh, I need to learn how you've grown as an org. Yeah. And just like take a seat back, which is sort of my leadership style anyway. I like to lead from behind and really collaborative, and just like really listen to young people, young artists from the West, what they're saying, they need, what they want. Yeah, it's that thing where I'm like, in some ways it feels like I never left.
Yeah.
And then in another way it's like, just kind of like still adjusting to the ways it's grown. And it's grown in really great ways, which was always my dream, was like I don't think one person could ever really represent a whole thing. I think we add our flavour, our blood, sweat and tears, and then trust that it will grow in the way that it needs to grow. And that's sort of happened. And I feel like on my return, it's also asking to be something else. And so I think that's this next phase is consulting with young people from the West, going, what is it that you want it to be?
What is kind of like your dream or vision for, the next 5 years at Western Edge? My
dream would be that at every level it is run by a Westie and a young person. Yeah, I think also in collaboration with, because I think there are elements of the company that, and I think also intergenerational, like I think working intergenerationally is really beautiful too. But yeah, I think there's parts of the company that probably needs, I think, senior people to run some things. But my vision is, that majority it's run by young people from the West, from an exec leadership level, on a board level, on a core staff level. Yeah, and that there'll be, I think where we're moving towards anyway is more partnerships with similar organizations. Sure. And that there's like a bigger hub or something where in the same space we're offering not just theatre and playwriting and spoken word, but we're also offering film and TV and dance. And so so it's like just a hub of creativity, and that there is much more pathways to collaborate, I think, with other young artists from the peripheries, so from the north and from southeast. So there's a bit more mobility. What I really, really love to see is the touring routes change from just being Europe, Asia and America. I'd love for there to be touring routes to the Pacific Islands, to Africa, and that cross-continental collaboration happen as well.
Sounds super exciting. Can't wait to see what happens during your second tenure there. It's very good, very good. Now, the topic of AI and art, it really is creeping into so many conversations, including the ones that we have on the pod. How do you feel about the future of the art scene and what I'm calling, I guess, the quest for human authenticity and, I don't know, the artistic slop that we're all kind of staring down and trying to fight against. Like, do you think the future is that people will seek out real human authenticity more? Do you think AI is only going to increase that hunger and so things might be okay, or is it all still an unknown still?
For me, I feel 200% confident that there's always going to be the need for authenticity, rawness, because I think that's where the magic lives. That's why we like the Janis Joplins and the Nick Caves and the Bob Dylans and the Nina Simones, is because of their rawness, their edginess. They're not that they were perfect singers. The fact that I think their music was an embodiment of who they were, and people resonate with that. And for me, what makes me really confident is that the first time I was at Western Edge when the pandemic happened and we moved everything digital, I thought young people would love it. I thought they'd be like, yes. But actually the reverse happened. There was a complete like, no, we need to be together. And there was a complete desire for in-person. And that isolation actually brought on more mental health problems and challenges, and brought on, more social isolation and all the things that actually, it was, for me, it proved why arts in real time, community-driven, is where it's at.
Yeah.
It's because that is what was missing then. And it wasn't kind of like this, oh yeah, I'm so excited about just fully living digital. And I feel actually there's the inverse happening with young people. They actually want much more of an analog experience. There's a nostalgia of like, people asking like, oh, what was it to have actual like landline phones? What was it like to not be living in such a digital information saturated world? There is that curiosity and a yearning for that. So I feel like for me, it's going to get uglier before it gets better. So I think we are in a really icky time where I think, for me, I'm really scared. I'm like, I can't tell the difference between what's AI and what's not online. And for me, when we get to that point, my inclination is to be less on and dieting from it and actually have an in real live experience.
It's a logical conclusion. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. However, I'm not anti-AI. I feel like there's some things that actually are really, really helpful. Like I think they help in terms of efficiency and they help in terms of gathering information. They should just leave it at that. Gathering information, condensing it, dot pointing it, kind of like the initial blah.
Yeah.
But anything else, I think, is really problematic. And also I think the way that AI is moving, we can't catch up with like in terms of policy, in terms of the ethics of it. And so if we can't do that, then it can pretty much go anywhere and we have no control over it. So that's, for me, disastrous. What are your thoughts on it?
I think so much great art is about distinction and distinctiveness. I know you name dropped a few musicians before, and when I think of their work, I think of like a trademark or a distinction. Whereas what you're going to get more often than not with AI in the area of music or art is something that just goes to the median, you know? It's going to go down easy, but there's going to be no personality. It'll just be content, that word. Do you know what I mean? I think you're right in that there's potential and there's a space for content. I love it when I've missed a meeting at work, but I can get the AI generated, dot points. Mm-hmm. That's great. It doesn't require someone to take notes. They can just be present there. Like, that's good. But I think you're right in terms of even so many angles in terms of the data center and the and what it means for, conflict and all that horrible kind of stuff. It's moving even faster than the internet did. So I think humanity does win out in terms of I think more and more people are going to realize we're kind of being dictated to about why this is the best thing we can do when it needs more critical thought. Great for stock prices for NVIDIA, but maybe not so great if we keep going at the pace we are.
Yeah, and I feel like virtual reality never really took off in the way that I think Silicon Valley was hoping it would, and they lost quite a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I think, those little things make me have hope that humanity will win. But I also think where AI is really interesting is Afrofuturistic work where I like dreaming into the futures and that kind of ancestral wisdom and world making of worlds that haven't been. I
Tell
think
me
that's where where I've noticed for myself, there's an amazing artist. She's French and she's now based in, I can't remember her name, but she's now based in New York, and that's like that's her shtick. Like she creates all these amazing just like ancestral characters and like situates them in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of offer wisdom, and I don't know, there's something, I think there's a yearning from marginalized communities to think of themselves out of a colonial perspective and resituate themselves post that, after that. And I think that's where digitally you can actually create that reality.
Yeah.
But for me, that's a yearning, that's a visioning. It's not for me, that's using creativity. It's not like instead of using all the things that make us human. I think it's using all the things that make us human to create an alternative reality, which I think is interesting.
Yeah. There's always something to learn when the worlds we create, tell us something about ourselves. I mean, whether that's something super allegorical like, the Lord of the Rings, like there's very intentional choices in terms of how that universe was built and what the author was trying to communicate, I suppose. So I guess AI can make that kind of dreaming, as you say, so much more accessible. So yeah, so much to play out. We could be talking about something completely different in 12 months' time. We'll see. I might be out of a job. Who knows? I want to turn now to the overarching analogy that we've been using for the season. And I want to ask you if your creative work was like a colour or a shade on the colour spectrum, what one do you think it is and why?
Okay, so I'm going to use a little bit of astrology here. I feel like my work is like, I'm a Leo. So I feel like it's fire. So it's like a fiery red with hues of like orange. But then it's got that Aries element, when you're looking at a hot flame and it gets so hot that it's blue.
Yeah.
So there's that inside it. But also blue representing, I think, depth and also calm as well.
Yeah. I was talking to someone about, now that we're in winter, like the joy of a bonfire or a little fire pit, you know what I mean? The joy of letting your gaze go, and I guess a fire is far more safer to look at than, say, the sun. Do you know what I mean? And when you let your gaze go, it's almost like you can't see anything outside the flame after a while. And, if you turn your eyes away and you try and walk away, you're a bit disoriented. Or you're like me, where it doesn't matter where I sit near the fire, the smoke will follow me. So if I'm trying to get out of the way, it just has a way of doing that. So yeah,
that's how I feel like my work is. I feel like it's a beautiful destruction. Like it destroys certain ideas, and it's not necessarily pretty or dressed up, like overly dressed up. So yeah, fire, like that orange red, destroys, but at the same time
regenerates.
Yes, and warms.
Yeah. Handle with care.
Yeah.
That's it. No, thanks for taking us on that journey. I liked it. We now turn our attention to the section of the show shamelessly ripped off Diary of a CEO. So I call it Diary of a POET, where, Tariro, you've been left a question from my previous guest. So this comes from Flash Poetry.
Oh.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah,
who
he's pretty
asks,
cool.
what is a favourite song lyric of yours and why?
Oh, song lyric. Oh.
Yeah.
Song. It has to be a song, not a poem? Song, lyric.
Flash Poetry and I spent a lot of time talking about music, naturally. So that was
Song. Oh, okay. There's this amazing Nigerian artist called Obanjaya who, I've recently just been rinsing their catalogue because they're amazing. But pretty much all of their songs are poetry. But there's this line where he says, oh, hold on, give me a moment to get it.
Take your time.
Because I've got another one of his lines, but it's a different song.
Okay, take your time. So what's coming to mind?
Okay, so it's an amazing artist called Obanjaya, and he's Nigerian, based in the UK, and his song's called Just My Luck, and the chorus says, just my luck, I didn't get what I wanted, it was just what I needed to keep me going. Just my luck, I'm in the wrong place, making a good time. Just my luck, can't miss what you never had, just my luck. Maybe that's not such a bad thing.
It's a subversion of when we would normally say that, oh, just my luck, saying, no, this is actually my piece in life and it's beautiful. Is that kind of how you relate to it?
Yeah, it's an opportunity. It's not what I had envisioned. It's not what I wanted, but actually it's exactly the thing that has maybe given me a different perspective or has offered this other opportunity that I otherwise would never have even thought about. Like it's just kind of like, letting go of what, for me, it's like letting go of what I think life needs to look like.
Yeah. It's a reframing.
Yeah.
I've always been a big lyrics guy, like I love physical CDs. I love reading through the liner notes and stuff like that. So, had plenty of chat about lyrics last week. So, yeah, great. I hadn't heard that song, so great to hear that that's sticking out for you.
Check out Obanjaya. He's like the master subverter.
There you go.
Yeah, and the way he puts things in such a simple way, but it kind of just feels like, it just is like, it makes sense. I'm like, that's exactly how I feel in the most simple way.
Yeah.
But often quite poetic. Yeah.
That's what you want from a great songwriter, I think. Tariro, if people want to find out more about you, want to follow your work, want to follow what's happening at Western Edge, where are the best places for them to head?
Definitely Instagram. I say that both with like dread, but also, it works when it works. So my Instagram handle is Tariro.Mavondo and the Western Edge handle is, Western Edge. Yeah, that's probably the best. Or Facebook. But people aren't really using Facebook these days.
I've officially deleted everything, 100% quit.
Yeah, I get that.
It's a bit of a hellhole, It's not your friends anymore. Like it was Wild West for a while where it was people goofing off, and now it's very much enshittified.
There's definitely a lot of ads and the algorithms are even more like,
Have you read Careless People, which is kind of like a memoir of someone who was really high up in Facebook, a New Zealand woman who's no longer there? Very interesting read.
Careless People. What's your take away from it?
I think Facebook started as something quite noble, actually, from what I was hearing, something that would bring connection to the world. I just think it's been really mishandled and turned into something. I mean, this is since 2016 and stuff. Like it's really turned into something that has a lot of negative power in the world, I think. I don't know. That's what I took from it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I would also say Zuckerberg, I thought how it started was like a group of frat boys were scoring girls. So that's feels like that's like a very icky origin story.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that energy has never sat really that well with me. But I agree, like back in the day it was so it was so cute. It was like people are sharing, their cats, their food, their and staying in touch, and now it's become monetized and and actually even darker, shifting people's thinking. Yeah, vile sometimes, yeah.
And you're absolutely right. The absolute origins of it are in what you mentioned, and obviously that's part of like the Social Network film. That wasn't what I was referring to when I was saying like, oh, that was so noble. No, it seemed like when this individual who wrote Careless People started there was the ambition seemed positive, and maybe they just couldn't be realised because it was so successful. I don't know. It's like, what are you going to do? You know, so we'll see. But anyway, the Facebook page is there, and we'll have links. We'll have links to all of those in the show notes. Tariro Mavondo, we're going to sign off in just a second, but not before we hear your third and final piece and sit in stunned silence.
This one is going to be a very similar vibe to the first one. It's called Chosen. And it's, I'll call it like an uplifting piece. I am that baddie. Insert shorty that got taller, 'cause walking shoulders just sit pretty than sitting on this diamond mine. Can't sit on tailbone, dust off struggle, out of timeline, it's just a story. It never ends until it does. Toss it out in stratosphere, space be laden with astronauts recycling. And baby, I'm recycling. I'm that pressure, I'm all this precious. I'm that pressure, I'm all this precious. Nah, I'll never throw in the towel. For the dynasty inside every tear, for every shed I scooped all the rain in so I could remember I can conquer the element of water. I'm in my element this season. I am the umbrella. I'm raising the bar. Extra dollar bill in my money jar. For every scar I've sewn up, I'm counting. I've come so far, still counting. Pretty pennies, an accountant, 'cause I know I'm one of the counted. Nothing worth something happens overnight. Like those stars in the sky, billions of years old, they're still flickering light bulbs, they're still giving, and I'm glowing like I'm worth billions, 'cause life is billions of starts and falls. Insurmountable stairs under magnifying glass, but I know in time I'll need to use a telescope to feel them. I'm playing like I'm Jamal Murray with the ball, no longer making out like I'm small. I'm shooting for the moon this season, 'cause a fall is really a climb. So if I fall, I'm calling this a dance. And who doesn't want to be dancing with the stars? And ain't a change in perspective something, like a fresh pair of eyes, no longer under a delusional disguise, a set of new lungs, I'm waking from a trance. See, I'm growing out of the comfort of being too comfortable, and growing in the uncomfortable is a way to attune to true comfort, and that's comforting. And I'm letting that sink in. But I ain't sinking. Hibiscus flowers crowning this new birth. My standing ovation is kneecaps rising to stare at the horizon, because I'm still standing. I am still standing. There is an angel in the gravel. I'm whole like a nation in the dust, but I won't settle for the dust. I'm the wind, insert sea, unloading cargo off the port of every south that I've ever been. I'm letting go of second guessing my next route. This season, I'm built different. Nothing can shake me. Lightnings, quivering legs, nah. I'm Noah and the Ark. Thunder dressed up as calm sea can't get me. Ready or not, here I come. You better find me and make me want you. Thank God for 4 seasons. Never thought that I'd be parting the Red Sea now. This is my striking gold, my Neptune's trident era. I've put 2 of everything on my boat. Love is my arsenal, a double. My will is my twin flame, a double. I'm Nefertiti holding pyramids in her mouth. Now, if Jason was an allegory of life, I'm Medusa divorcing the role I gave life as my cheater before my hand screams at my face that I am my own murderer. This time I'm calling the shots. This is my season. This is my time. I'm not cheating myself out of golden people, golden sand, golden experiences on promised land. My inner child's laughter is golden like grass. And if God was a human, who would that be? Well, ain't that every black woman that I've ever met? Well, ain't that anybody who's had nothing to live for but their survival, so they chose to survive? I'm not a Libra, but I'm taking that scale and I'm balancing. Call me Moses on Mount Sinai. It has taken me discipline and self-control for me to get here. I'm regulating nervous system, voice soothing and sound system. I'll surround sound you, Matt Gallagher and you, wrap you in my truth. I'm the baddest baddie. I've been living my life in full color. It's got me cheering for me the loudest, because green is love, is wealth, is a leprechaun landing at the treasure chest like I've uncoded the Fibonacci sequence, like the golden ratio formula has always been in my smile. I'm sliding to the end of one rainbow on my way to another. I can't be pillaged. just marveled at in awe and wonder for being the glory, the hallelujah, the I did that, and the I will keep doing that because I'm the in amen. Amen.
She doesn't miss. 3 for 3. There it is from the foul line. Stunning. Every one of those pieces every one of those pieces you've read today, I was just like, oh, I need to experience that again and again so I can just num.
Yeah, my stuff is so dense.
No, but that I like work that is dense. I like work that's verbose. I like work that is working on multiple levels. So this has been a feast for me. Tariro Mavondo, thank you so much for thinking with us and slamming with us today.
Thank you. Look, I'm smiling from ear to ear. So it means that I really had a very good time. So thank you very much for inviting me.
Smiling from ear to ear.
Because sometimes it is like that thing where, when you need the thing as much as the thing needs you. And I feel like that was like this episode. This is this interview. I feel like I need it as much as the invitation to come. So thank you.
I'm speechless. No, great to have you here. Thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Weetabix hands, what's that all about?